So as part of our learning, we will try to see in a scheduling software what are these different terminologies and how they can be implemented. So whether you look at MSP, Project Library or Primavera, most of these softwares will work with these basic principles. You will have to assign these different categories which we look at here: summary tasks, subtasks, detailed tasks, work packages. So we'll try to understand each one of these when we look at the software now. Okay. Am I audible to everybody? Can you just confirm it once?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
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 sir.
sir.
Yeah. So we will look at Project Library now and try to understand how that software works. Let me just actually I'll share my screen so that you can see the different things I'm toggling. So here I have Project Libre. I'll just show you the level of complexity that you can achieve in this project as well. This is something that we delivered for one of our clients. So yes, you can do quite a bit of complex tasks, including cost and resource leveling in Project Libre as well. We will get down to the basics right now. We will start with a new project. When you open Project Libre, are you able to see the new dialog box here? The tip of the day dialog box?
Yes, sir.
So, hi,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Sorry for interrupting. Sir, can you record the session and can we have the session links?
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah. I'm recording it on OBS Studio, so you should be able to see the recording. I will share the recording later. The problem with Zoom is
yes,
the same problem happened with Zoom when I was teaching your senior batch Revit classes. You the right clicks and drop down menus will not get recorded when I'm
okay.
recording an application. So I'm using OBS to record my screen. Whatever I'm doing here, I will share it with you guys later. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the dialog box that you get here. Are you able to see this new project library here?
Yes, sir.
So you can go through these tips and tricks if you want, or you can close it so that it is not visible the next time. You can tick it off here. But I would recommend you go through this for the first time so that you see all the capabilities of project library. Once you come into the project library interface, you have this option of creating a new project or opening a new project. In case if you have already opened it and you don't have this option, you can always find that option here in the top under file. Under the file category, you will have the new project creation. Okay, so let me now create a new project first. We will name the project. Let's call it sample bathroom refitting. Okay, I will use the same example that we had looked at in the MSP recording. So MS manager here, I'm going to give my initials. You can give your initials as well. Now this is something interesting. I will just explain what this does. You can also give project notes. Whatever description you want to give to that project, you can add it here so that it's visible to the other team members who are using this file. Now you can decide on when the project starts by clicking on the drop down menu here. You will get the calendar option and you can define the date. Okay. Now if I am not having this forward schedule ticked, okay, as of now it is ticked, that means the project is going to start from that date. Okay, if I have this forward schedule ticked off, that means this date is going to be considered as the last date of the project and everything else will be backtracked from there. Am I clear about the two options that you have?
So, can you please
Yes,
repeat
sir.
it?
Yeah, sorry.
So, can you
Yes,
please
sir.
repeat it again?
Okay, I'm hearing two voices. Okay, I heard repeat as well. So let me just clarify this once again. If you have this forward schedule ticked on, that means the project is going to start on that particular day and progress further from there on. Okay. If you have the forward schedule ticked off, that means the project is going to be backdated. This date is going to become your last date of the project and everything else will get planned backwards.
So
Clear?
it is same like what we have backward pass and forward pass in CPM.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Okay. But backward pass and forward pass in CPM will help you with getting your free floats and lags, right? Here you are going
Yes.
to use it to determine the start date or end date of your project and how you want to plan for it. Are you going to plan ahead or are you going to plan backwards, depending on the criticality?
Okay.
So it also depends on the type of project that you're going to work on. For instance, if it's a client driven project where the client already has set a deadline, the last date or the handover date for the project, then you would want to
Okay.
work reverse, backwards, to ensure that you are hitting that milestone correctly.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you're working, if you are the one who's proposing a timeline and proposing the schedule to the client, you would always do it forward schedule so that you have more leeway and time to work with. You get more lag to work with. We will look
Hmm.
at that when we are creating our schedule. So let me create a new one now. Let us just give some notes to this, and I'm going to say okay. All right, so now the new project is open. Whenever a new project opens in project library, it opens with the default mode of having your Gantt chart visibility on the right side and your spreadsheet or the task entry on the left side. Okay. Now let us look at the interface before we get into the programming part of it. So the first part here is the typical Microsoft options that you find in File, Save, Open, and Save As. You also have Print, Preview, and PDF options, which is available under the Print option. Under the Project option, you have Projects, Information, Calendar, Projects dialog. So I'll just briefly explain each of these. So now when I hit on Projects, you see it's showing me the first project which I have open right now. I can create multiple projects within the same window. It can be of different phasing as well or different stages of the project as well, which I will roll into one single project. Okay, so I can have multiple projects open here. We will look at that when we're doing multiple project options. You also have the option of project information here. At any given point of time, you can hit on this project information and fill up the required project information here. So the first part here is what you fill during the opening of the project. Then you have the option of giving the current date, status date. So we will just look at this where it becomes useful in terms of progress or tracking of your project. Now you have base calendar here. I will shortly show and explain what these different calendars mean and how it helps you in your programming. The default priority value for a project is always placed at 500. You can increase or decrease this priority value in order for the program to help you place your resources appropriately. We will look at this when we're doing resource leveling. Okay. Right now we are in planning stage, so we will leave it at that. Here you can choose the type of project that you're doing, so you will get your tabs and tags according to that. You also have the option
What is
of,
that?
sorry,
What is the number signifies 500, sir?
500 here is the
Priority.
default value for priority. So you can increase or
Hmm.
decrease that value to make an activity more important or less important in terms of satisfying the conditions. So we apply conditions and constraints to all the different activities. We will come to that
Hmm.
when we are doing conditions and criteria. So the program will also look at which one to give priority over the other when it comes to resource leveling. That's why I said we will look at it when we're doing resource leveling.
Okay.
So when you have resources assigned to the project and you assign them different tasks, it will decide
Hmm.
based on the
The
priority
priority.
of the task, how many resources to
Yes.
get assigned to that or which one needs to be done first.
Okay.
Okay. So expense type here, this will be helpful when we are trying to derive EVM out of this. What is EVM? Have you guys gone through that class yet in PM?
What is that, sir? Can you
EVM.
come on? EVM.
Yeah. Earned value management, has that been
and one. Yeah. Okay.
looked at? So the way you put in the expenses here, it'll help you in tabulating your EVM according to that.
Okay.
Now we also have statistics and notes. We will come to this statistics. We will come to later once we have assigned our baselines and costs. Okay. So this is for project information. You also have the tab for calendar here. Okay. Under the calendar tab, right now you have default standard template. That means Saturdays and Sundays are considered as off, and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you have these working hours, 8 to 5 basically, with 1 hour of lunch break. You can modify that for each of the day if you want to. Okay.
Mm.
So we will come to this calendar, how to change the day parameters in calendar, but we will first get down to understanding the interface. Okay. You also have projects dialog here, which is the same as what you can see under projects here tab, which will take you directly to that. Herein you can see the different projects which are rolled into one, okay, or which get rolled into one. Baselines help you to create the standard timeline for a single activity or a project. We will look at it once we feed in some tasks here. You can either save and create a new baseline, or you can clear an existing baseline. Under tasks, you will find different types of task modes where you can add in tasks, you can insert a new row or delete a row, indent and outdent to be able to create groups and subgroups, linking and unlinking of tasks, and also the same parameters that you see for information calendar and notes. You can also assign resources to the tasks under the taskbar. You have 4 different views which you can look for a particular task. The Gantt chart is the default one. You can also get into network where it will show you a CPM, a critical path of the tasks. You also have work breakdown and task usage. Task usage will tell you if the resources are being optimally utilized or unutilized. The same can be seen under resources, where you can assign resources, create a resource breakdown structure, and you can also see the resource usage. The same tab is linked here as well. And similar activities of inserting and deleting of rows, indenting and outdenting. And you have different views dedicated for this. Project Libre also gives you the benefit of having multiple views open at the same time. So you can have your histogram and Gantt chart open at the same time, or you can have your resource usage and Gantt chart open at the same time under subview category. We will look at this in some time when we start populating. So let's now look at the first activity of putting in tasks. Now, what according to project management is a task? Can somebody help understand this? We looked at this, right? Summary tasks, subtasks, and detailed tasks. So let's understand those definitions. Okay, so any basic activity that I add, so let me just first add summary here. I can simply come to that column here and start writing whatever I want. Okay, and it will create that task. So the lowest level of activity which is possible to be placed in a project can be called as a task. Okay. The subtask can be subgrouping or sub-activity within a task in order to complete the task. And the next item which you have here, detailed task. Detailed tasks can be part of subtasks or summary tasks, which will help you break down a unit to the smallest level possible, or break down an activity to the smallest level possible. Okay, these are helpful. The reason why these 3 definitions are helpful is, in fact, the 4th one as well, work packages. Now, work package is combining of different activities in order to create a package. These 4 terminologies will be helpful in order for you to create your work breakdown structure, and it will also be essential when you're doing your billing or costing. When you're assigning costs to your resources, you need to know which can be categorized as task, subtask, or work package. Okay, how the client gets billed. Client will usually get billed for work packages and not for a subtask or a detailed task. Agreed?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So you would bill the client for plans, sections, and elevations, but you would not bill the client for section A, section B, section C separately. Right? A set of drawings when delivered, you will charge. So work package can be defined as something which is billable to the client. Okay. Now there are two ways of entering your tasks inside this spreadsheet here. Where you can either manually keep typing task 1, task 2, and all that stuff. Okay. Or the other option is, remember I asked you guys to do an exercise in Excel. Where I had asked you to write down the different tasks and subtasks and the duration for each.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
So I can use
Yeah.
that and create my,
Yes, sir.
I can simply copy it and paste it into my Project Libre. You see that there? So as of now, all of these are showing default 1 day. That's because that's how any programming software will start off. It will give a default of 1 day for every activity. We need to manually fill in the durations. Now let me just fill up the rest of it as well. Yeah. So what I have done now is basically I have added in all the tasks. Do you see everything is right now 1 day old. Now in
Right,
order
sir.
for me to make these all subtasks of planning phase, so these are basically 4 phases of the project that we have: planning phase, purchasing phase, implementation phase. So here I can add a row, you see, by just clicking on the insert there. And now let me make all these planning phase elements. I can either select one and shift to the last one, or I can select the ones which I want by hitting control and clicking on them. Clear? So I will select all of these now and I will create an indent. Okay. Indent is done to make a particular activity a sub activity of a preceding activity. Okay. So if I do indent now, you see all of these now become a part of planning phase. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Was it clear how I did that? You
Yeah.
select all the elements and hit on indent, so they become a sub activity of planning phase. Now I can collapse the planning phase by hitting on that plus or minus button. Similarly, I'll do it for purchasing phase. I will indent and I will drop this. Notice that when I'm doing phasing, Project Libre is also creating this black segment, creating a bar, black bar. Now this is in line with the standards of CPM representation. I'll come to that in some time. Let me just drop another row here. I'll select all of these and I'll give an indent, close the implementation phase. The same thing I will do with completion phase. And now I want all of these activities to become sub of project summary, right? So notice how this breaks now. I'm selecting all of these, control to minus the last one, and indent. Now you see all of them became a part of this project summary. planning phase, purchasing phase, implementation phase, and completion phase. Are we clear with this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir,
Yes.
if we want to remove that, how we can remove that, sir?
Which one?
Like, like everything has come under project summary.
Yeah.
So, like last completion phase, I want to remove from that project summary. So,
Okay.
how we can?
Okay. You can select that particular task, whichever task you want to remove from the preceding task. You can select it, and you can choose the option of outdent instead of indent. You choose the option of outdent. Now you see when I collapse project summary, that's a separate element, and completion phase is a separate element. Yeah. Now if I select completion phase and make it indent, it will become part of project summary.
Oh, okay, sir.
Clear?
Yes, sir.
So
So
indent
one
will
more
make
doubt.
it a sub activity. Outdent will remove it from the sub activity list and make it a separate activity.
So I have a doubt.
Yeah.
If I want to put one column from purchasing phase to planting phase, can I just copy paste it, or do I have to?
Sorry, I didn't get. So you want to take one of the activities and put it under a different phase?
Something else. Yes, yes, correct.
Yeah, you can
So
copy
from
paste it.
planning phase, let's say if you have to take one activities and keep it in the execution stage, for example,
Yeah.
can we do that?
Yeah, you can copy paste that activity. You can duplicate multiple activities, or you can remove
Okay.
it from here and you can place it wherever you want.
Okay.
Okay, so I can cut it from here. Say for instance, I cut contractors from here, and I will place it here. See, the contractors now goes into purchasing phase, or vice versa, wherever I want to put it.
Mhm.
Okay, so as of now,
Sir, Venu sir, see this duration is only in days, or we can make it like on hour basis also?
it can be made in hours as well. We will come to that when we are looking at calendars. So we can make a 24-hour schedule. We can make a 8-hour per day schedule or 7-hour per day schedule, or we can make weekend working also. So there are different ways in which you can tweak your calendar based on which your duration will work. Okay, so now if you notice here, even though I am giving the duration as 1 day, it is starting the time at 8 a.m. It has not started the time at say 9 or 9:30 when we have actually created the activity. That's because the calendar now says 8 to 5 working.
So that also we can change, no sir?
Yeah, we can tweak. I'll come to the calendar settings now in some time. I'm just giving a brief of how activities can be placed. So as of now, we have not added any. If you notice here, once we have placed the activities, I have not added any predecessor or resource name here, predecessor or successor activity. That means each of these activities right now is free floating. They have just been tasks, they have just been subgrouped, but they have not been linked to any other activity in the project or program. Okay, we will come to how to put these predecessors in place in some time. But for now, let's add in more realistic durations. Okay, so that also we had from our exercise. So if I can take all of these, I'm taking from planning to finance arranged. Okay, and I'm going to come back to my project library file here, and I'm going to add all the durations here. Okay, so notice that the total number of days required for the planning phase is automatically calculated there as 10 days. That is considering that each of these activities are right now happening simultaneously. You notice all of these activities are starting on Monday itself, but that's not the truth. That's not how it would work. We will get into that in some time. But you notice that this has a question mark in its days. Project summary has a question mark in its days, whereas these days which I just added right now, they don't have a question mark. And the similar is with the days here, which I have not added right now. So when you see a question mark, you need to understand that the program right now is not confirmed on the number of days. It is only an estimate that it has put there. But the minute you add a duration of 10 days, 2 days, 5 days, the project considers that that's the estimated value. That's the exact estimated value which you are providing it. And that's why the question mark has been removed from there. What this means is that the program is now considering those days, number of days, as the baseline duration for each of those activities. Am I clear when I'm saying baseline duration? So that's the minimum number of days it's going to take to do that activity. That is what is being
Venu sir,
understood.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You have allocated planning phase as 10 days, right?
Yeah.
And then you have all
No,
your
I have not
subtasks.
allocated planning phase as 10 days. I have only given the number of days required for each of these different activities.
Okay.
Right now the program is considering that as 10 days because the maximum activity here is contractors, which is of 10 days. I have still not given the programming or connecting each of these activities yet. Once I do that,
Okay.
The planning phase number of days will increase. This is right now auto populated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sir, if you don't mind, that question mark, can you please explain again?
See, the question mark here is the question mark in project summary is coming because of the question mark which is there in all these other phases. So when it is saying 1 day, this is something which the program or the application has put by default. It is not a confirmed estimate or not an estimate which has been fed by me. Okay. So when I make this say 5 days, it becomes a confirmed day. It becomes a confirmed duration of that activity.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So then the question mark is gone. If you want to understand further detail, you can double click on any activity. I'll show how I did that. You can just come to the outer side here on number 21 here. I'm just double clicking on that activity and it opens the task information for me. Okay, you see the duration here is 5 days. This is what I manually fed in right now. If I call that estimated, you see what happens? The question mark comes back. That's because I am not sure if that is the duration. That is what I'm telling the application.
So what if it then a day, like what if it's in hours? What if some activities are in hours? Then how do we show it?
You can write 1.5 days. So let me
all
just
the activities.
see, I'll convert this to say 1.5 days. You can do that. Okay, this is coming from this 1.5 calculation is coming from my understanding that a day is 8 hours of work according to the program right now. Right. So if you have an activity which is 10 hours, if you have an activity say which takes 4 hours to complete, then I will put it as 0.5.
Oh,
makes sense?
Sir, another question. For example, in the planning phase, we have planning, scoping, select style. So planning phase, it is for 4 days and it from 17th it starts. So like the next phase should start from like after 4 days, right? So it is showing the same day.
That's what I said. Right now, we have just manually, we have just copy pasted the duration here and I have not created the successor predecessor activity list yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
So once I add that successor predecessor activities here, that's when the program will start, connecting the different tasks in terms of when which should start, after or before, and all the stuff. So we will get to that now. Let me just quickly paste off the other durations as well. So planning is done. And now I'll paste the purchasing. Okay, I'll start with this. Let me come down to implementation now. Another thing that you all need to notice here, I will just explain that quickly. See these activities which are getting added as 0 days. Those are called your milestones. Okay, so any activity, if you are adding into a project programming, whether it's MSP, Primavera, or Project Libre for that matter, when you are adding the activity with 0 days or 0 hours setting, what the program understands by that is a key milestone. That means you need to hit that date. There is no activity happening on that day for that particular task, but that task is fulfilled when you complete it on that day. Okay, so this is a way of adding milestones. You notice the color of the color and representation of the milestone is different. It is represented by a black rhombus, right? And all your other activities here are marked in blue color. That's because as of now the program is considering them as non-critical activities, or the activities which are not on the critical path. The activity which is shown in red here means that is a critical path activity. That means that activity needs to be completed in order to finish your tasks, in order to finish your project. Okay, let me explain that briefly. We'll just finish this now. Okay, now I have added all of these different activities in my project. Are we clear with this now? So the longest activity in all of this is the 10-day activity, which is of getting the contractors onboarded and starting with the work. So that's why that is now the critical part. Now let me start adding in links to my...
Sir, I have a question here.
Yeah.
You said contractor appointment is just a milestone. It is not an activity, right?
No, this
contractor
is a 10-day process. It's basically the selection of the contract.
Not the contract, 15 number.
Number 15, yeah, contractors appointed, yeah.
You said this is just a milestone. It is not an activity, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So why we are keeping it in the activity list?
Because this needs to be completed. This activity needs to be completed to consider the previous or one of some of the activities here as done, and it is also acting as a predecessor or a mandatory predecessor for other activities to happen.
Yeah, all these activities are not in sequence right now?
No, they are right now. It's not necessary that they will be in. Let me just show you an example. This is one of the projects
because
that I
contractor
had done.
appointment, if
this
contractor
is one of the
appointment
that I
it
had
has
done.
to be...
If you see this activity is now required to be completed for an activity which is there here, an activity which is there here as well. So this activity is linking to both of them. So you cannot really bucket activities or groups or subgroups. They might be linked to different stages or phases in the project as well. Like for instance, this plastering activity here is directly linked to your critical activity of removing of loose plaster from the second floor, which is a critical activity. Okay, so they can be cross-linked to multiple elements in the project. It is not hard bound by one, but the milestone there is an understanding that that activity needs to complete on that day. Otherwise, it's not going to let the other activities start. Whichever activity is linked to that milestone will not start until that is finished.
No, my question was is this activities, whatever you have kept it in the planning phase, are they in a sequential order?
As of now, yes, they are in sequential order here.
So but contractor appointment will be much before your contractor, which has been assigned a job, right? Which is you are keeping it as a 10 days.
Sorry, you are saying
your contractor, which is in the 10th number, your 15 number will be much before the 10 number, isn't it?
No. This is contractor selection process. The 10-day activity is contractor selection process. And the 15th one is contractor appointed.
It's just giving an award to him. That is a contractor appointment.
You are basically calling invite for different contractors to come here. So you are doing the selection process in the first 10 days and then you are appointing them. So we will add that now. We'll just add the links so that we can understand what we are trying to talk here. So let me just select all these activities here. Okay. And now I'm going to link them. There are two ways of linking. One is if you have put everything in sequential order and you know all the activities are in the finish to start link. Now what is finish to start? There are 4 types of linking, right, between activities in project management. Start to start, start to finish, finish to start, and finish to finish.
Finish to finish.
Finish to finish.
Right? So you have these 4 different types of linking. Now, if all of your activities are sequential in nature and they are happening in the finish to start system, that is, one activity needs to finish for the other to start, one activity needs to finish for the other to start. If that is the way they are programmed, then the easier option to create your linking is by just selecting the activities and clicking on the link option here under task. Can you see that button there? Link. So when I click on that link, notice what is happening now. All the activities are happening one after the other. Clear? And now if you see, all these activities which were blue in color have become red because the program is now considering all these activities as critical. They are all on the critical path.
Okay.
Right? But that's
So
not
some
how
activities are not related to the previous one. So how do we avoid one arrow in this thing?
Yeah, I'll just show that. So if you want to remove connection between two, say for instance, actually all of these are subtasks of contractors. So I'll just indent this. This is how it is in true sense. And now let me consider that arrange temporary accommodation need not happen after fixing the dates. They can start with check permission requirement itself, right? So what I will do is I will select these 2 activities and I will unlink. You see what's happened now? So the activities from contractors has become separate from the previous activities. And now even here, if you see the predecessors, the arrange temporary accommodation has no predecessor now. But in real life, what will actually happen is I will get my permission requirement and then start my both fixing the dates and arranging of temporary accommodation. So both these activities, activity 8 and activity 9, will start after activity 7. Okay, that's how I would want it to be planned. So I'm going to do that. Now you see these 2 tasks have become after the check permission requirement option. Clear?
Yes.
Clear? So by changing the predecessors here, I can move the activities in and out. So that's one way of doing it, where I can manually feed in the values here. Project Libre also gives you the flexibility of creating visually. That means I can select this, I can just click on that activity, I can drag and I can make sure that it connects to this, or I can click on this and I can connect to this, or here to this activity. So you see there's a connection getting created between those and it is automatically getting reflected in your predecessors here. Yeah? So there are 2 ways of adding predecessors. One is you manually feed them here. So it will tell you which activity is bound by which other activity. Or the other way is by graphically clicking inside the activity and pulling it to the next activity which you want to connect it with. Make sense?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Now at any given point of time, I can click on this. Let me click on one of these arrows. Let me click on this arrow. You see, when I double click on that arrow, it opens this task dependency dialog box for me. Okay, and here it says get contractors quotation. That is the activity which is linking to appoint contractors. Okay, now it says finish to start. The activity type is FS, that is finish to start. But ideally, I would want it from finish to finish. I would want both these activities to be happening simultaneously and both of them to end on the same day. Probably after I get quotations from all the contractors, I will appoint my final contractor within the next 3 days. So I'm giving a link of finish to finish, but I'm saying the second activity gets 3 more days to finish compared to the first activity. Am I clear in what I'm explaining?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now when I say OK, you see what's happened now? The finish of this is now connected to the finish of that, but it comes with a 3-day lag. Okay. You see, this is 5 days activity and this is a 1-day activity. This activity starts on 10th and ends on 16th. Okay, we have, so this task is linked to a wrong item also. Okay, you see this activity ends on Thursday here in the calendar, and I have Friday. Sorry, let me just zoom in once. So I can use this zoom in, zoom out to go deeper into my calendar. So here I can see this activity ends on Wednesday 16th by evening 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock here. And I have Thursday, Friday, and by Monday I need to end this task. Monday is 6 o'clock, I need to end this task. So it is satisfying the condition of those 3 days that I'm giving it. Clear? So the last contractor quote that I get should be ending on 16th June. And from then on I am giving 3 days time, within 3 days time, for this activity also to be completed. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
So that's
sir.
how you add finish to finish, or you can also add start to start. So you can also say start to start, start to finish. So depending on the connection type that has to be created between those activities, you can add this here. And the lag, you can either add a positive lag or a negative lag. Okay, so if I am saying say finish to start, but I want to start this activity 2 days in advance of the previous activity finishing, then I will say -2 days and I'll say okay. So you see, this activity has to start 2 days before this activity ends. That is what I'm saying in the linking. Make sense? So this can be a case where I'm getting painter onboarded. So the plastering guy, after he has finished his plastering, I will not wait for the plastering guy to finish his plastering and then call the painting guy. So if the plastering activity is going to take say another 2 days, I will identify the painter and I'll get him onboarded, so that person can. Yeah, makes sense.
You need a queuing also, sir.
Yeah, so you can add whatever days you need for that. I'm giving an example of SS, FS, and SF. Okay, so the different types of activities that you can add into a project and create links. Is it clear till here? Any doubts till here?
Need to practice, sir. Need to practice. Then only
yeah. So
things will come.
I think the first activity that all of you try to do is add in your tasks and put in the durations. Then you start creating the links between each of them. So you create tasks, subtasks, and add the durations. So you will have your frame ready. That is what I had asked in the first exercise. So if you have that data ready, you can just simply put it into this, copy paste it into this, and then you can start working on the creation of linking of predecessors. Now let us see the calendar part of it. The thing is, now the entire calendar programming here is happening for 5-day work week, right? 5-day work week with 8 hours of working time. Now let me assign a baseline to this project. I will assign a baseline, save baseline to the entire project. Okay. So when I'm saving a baseline, it gives me the option of either to the entire project or to a selected task. Okay, as of now, I'm creating it for the entire project. So you notice that there's a light gray line which is getting created on the side. Can you see that?
Below that.
Yeah, below the activity, you can see a light
Okay.
gray line getting created. So that you can see for each activity.
Okay.
Okay, so that means that's the project baseline or the base hours that we have set for that particular activity to happen. Now, when I come closer to an activity and I come to the beginning of the activity, you see I get this small arrow with a black percentage marker. Right? This will help me create current status of the project. Sorry, just a minute. Here, when I pull this black percentage marker on the taskbar, it is telling me how much percentage of the project I have completed. So I can do my project progress tracking also here. Okay, I can physically mark it, or I can simply come down to the project and you see it says 50% activity completed here. I can change this value to 75% and you see it will change the extent there on the table. Okay, there are two ways of putting a project completion tracker here. One is I come into the task by double clicking on it and adding the percentage completion here, or I can simply do it graphically by pulling the timeline here. Okay, so now this is
how to put percentage on the graph, sir? For example, I will not know this is 75% or 90%. So if I want to see it here, is there a way to put the 75%
yeah, when you're
here?
pulling it, it actually gives that value. Now my screen color is a little thing, but this is 50%, this is 75%. It will show you that. Now if you see, if I'm exceeding, then it goes beyond 100% also. Okay. Punekar, I'll explain those 4 task dependencies later separately. Okay. I hope all of you know start to start, finish to finish, finish to start, and finish to finish type of activities. Okay. So to answer your question, Tapasya ma'am, there is no definite way of writing the percentage here. Okay. But once you have added that to the chart, you can always come down to the activity tracker here and change the percentage there.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Now let me impact the baseline. So I'm going to come to the end of this task and I'm going to say it is not ending on Thursday 6 o'clock, but because of some unforeseen reasons or changes, this task will now take Friday 6 o'clock to finish.
But you mentioned, sir, these are the critical, the activities on the critical path method.
Yeah,
Can you change it?
yeah. It will affect all your other tasks.
Resources and all.
Sorry?
It will affect the entire
Yeah.
resources. Right?
Let me just zoom out a bit. And let me say this is getting extended. Okay, see, when I extend this task, notice what's happened. I am extending one of these tasks here, and you see the impact on baseline. The original baseline for this task was ending here, but now it's extended till there. So I have moved from my baseline. My tasks are now according to my baseline. The task was supposed to end on Friday 25th, but it's now extended till Monday 28th June. Now this will happen only when your critical path activities are moved. That's when you will have this baseline change. Okay, so now this is the new baseline, and I want to consider this as the new baseline for my project going forward. Okay, so what I will do is I'll come to baseline again. Under save baseline, I will now use it as the new baseline, baseline 1, or I can create my own custom name, but I'll give it baseline 1, and I'll say this should apply for the entire project. I'm going to say OK. So now you notice it's showing me the gray baseline, and it's also showing me the magenta baseline. So magenta is now the new baseline. Clear?
So this is the revised finishing time, right?
Yeah, this is the revised baseline now, based on the new shift in the activity which happened.
Shift in the, okay.
Yeah. So now I can also do a right click on my graph at any given point of time, and I can come to my bar styles here. You notice this bar styles, when I do a right click, I can switch off the old baseline if I want to, and I can only see the new baseline now. Okay. Or if you want to see the old baseline along with the new baseline to get an understanding of the impact, you can do that as well. The same applies to any different type of views that you want to switch off or switch on. Now I can also make only my critical paths to be visible. If I keep only this clicked and everything else off, then I will see only the critical paths here, critical path items here. Clear? Now let us look at, okay, baseline I've done. We've looked at baseline, we've looked at resources. Okay, let me show you in the network what I was talking of before. You see this network view now? Now these are independent tasks, and I have not linked them to anything right now. So they're just showing as free floating independent start of tasks. But the tasks which we have linked, you notice the red ones are being shown in. So all the red ones are critical path elements. Right? And the black which is denoted in this are the milestones.
Okay.
And the ones coming in blue are the ones which have free float available. Notice this? The same breakdown you will be able to see in your work breakdown also. So all the works have been broken down and rolled over into project summary. Now I have only my planning phase here and other phases here shown. Notice that these are showing closed right now because I have them closed in my activities here. If I open any one of them and come back to my network or WBS, I will be able to see those activities also charted here. Notice that purchasing phase was rolled into right before, but now I am able to see that as well here. The other two are rolled in, so it is not showing the details there. So this way you can also make the project breakdown visible in the manner of either phasing or even resourcing. So we will do resourcing in some time, but before that let's look at the concept of calendars. I hope we are clear with whatever has been done so far. Yeah. So let me now get into calendar and quickly understand the different types of activities under calendar. But before we look at calendar, I want to show how calendar impacts different activities. So I will do let me create a new project file. Okay, I will do file, a new project file, and I'm going to call it demo calendars. Okay. Okay, so we are trying to look at how calendar variations can be impacting your project. So before I get into anything in this new project, let me quickly go to the calendar. We have three different types of calendars which are default provided in your project library setting. Okay, one is the standard calendar, which is a 5-day week and a 40-hour work shift. The second is a 24-hour work shift. Okay, for instance, if you're having machinery which is working in your factory, or if you have machinery which can work continuously without a break, that can be a 24-hour work shift. Or if you have people who are working in three different shifts to complete the 24-hour work cycle, you can do that as well. If you have specific business organizations which work with night shift also, so a lot of contractors, large scale contractors do use the night shift option where work happens in the night as well. So you can use that as well. Let me now first take the standard calendar and create a new one out of it. Okay, so I will create a new calendar now from this, which I'm going to call say a 10-hour work week. Instead of a 5-hour work week, I want to call it a 10-hour work day. Okay, so I'm going to make it a 10-hour work day instead of a 8-hour work day, and I'm going to leave the create a new base calendar, or I'll use the existing standard calendar. I'll say okay. So I have standard 24-hour night work shift and 10-hour work day. So now in the 10-hour work day, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all these days. I can simply click on the start of the weekday and hit control and keep clicking so that I get all the days, all the week days. Now I'm going to change this from, it says 8 to 12. So that's when the construction work starts. Then they have their lunch break. Then they work till 5. Then they have a tea break. And I'm considering that they come back after the tea break from 17:30. They work till, how much time do you need for 10 hours? 8 to 5 minus 1. I need to add another.
If you're starting at 7, it will be
I will do 19:30.
at around 5 o'clock you have to wind up for 10 hours.
Sorry? If I start at 7.
You have started at 7, so it will be 5.
Yeah.
Or maybe if you are
1 hour
taking
lunch break,
1 hour
between,
of
right?
lunch.
They'll have a 1 hour of lunch break. So I will make this 18:30. So they come back after tea and they work till 6:30.
Yeah.
Let's consider that. Okay. So this is what I'm doing now, and I'm going to say okay. Okay. So now
So
I
Saturdays we can't select or what?
Sorry.
Saturdays we can't select as a part of work week.
Yeah,
I mean a work day.
You can make it. So now in this 10-hour work week, all these days are now working. So you're saying you want to make Saturday also working, right? So I will select Saturday and I will make it non-default working time. So I will add Saturday also to my working.
Okay.
Okay, so now the same thing we will do here. We will make it 17:30 to 18:30 again, this thing. Okay, so now they are working on Saturdays also for full day, and this is a 10-hour work week. So now I have standard calendar, 24-hour calendar, night shift calendar, 10-hour work week calendar, 10-hour work day calendar. Okay. Now I can also add, it will be especially very helpful if you have specialized resources. So who will be available only on particular days of a week, right? Say for instance, I am the master builder, and I am not available on Wednesdays and Thursdays to review the work at site. I'm just assuming, okay? So let me just add another new calendar. So I will add a new calendar, make a copy of standard calendar, and I'll call it master builder. Okay. So this is somebody who is going to come to the site only on select days. So his work will depend on that. Okay. So now I'm going to remove him on Wednesdays and Thursdays. I'm going to say on Wednesdays and Thursdays, the master builder is not available at site. So that becomes the non-working time. Notice what happens here. Those days become holidays or non-working days for master builder. So I'm going to say okay. Now let me create a task, a sample task. Okay, the same sample task, I'm going to create 5 different variations, and let me say it takes the same 10 days. Okay, in the first one, I'm going to say this is a regular calendar. In the second one, let me make it the master builder calendar. Okay, in the third one, I'm going to call it which one was the other one we created? 10-hour workday, right? 10-hour workday calendar. This guy follows the 10-hour workday calendar, and this activity will follow 24-hour work calendar. Okay, I think that should be enough. Now let me take the first task, and here notice that the calendar that this person is using is 80-hour work week. Under resources, I have no resources assigned right now. Under here, under task calendar, under advanced option for the task information, you notice that the task calendar for this person is right now a standard. Okay, and I'm going to say close. Now for the last one, I'm going to make this a 24-hour work calendar. You see the duration? Even though both of them are 10 days activity, the fourth one has now become a sorry, I created a mistake. Under calendar, so here you have the durations. Work week. Okay, I'm gonna make this only for working time. Select all of this. 7, 17:30 to 18:30. Sundays also the same thing. 17:30 to 18:30, and the day starts at 7 a.m. So, okay. Now let me assign the 10-hour work week to this guy. Oh, sorry, I've not assigned resource. Okay, let me go down to resources now. But you get the understanding, right? How calendar application of a calendar to an activity can change the number of days. Even though we have taken 10 days here, because the number of hours which you are working is 24 hours here, the duration becomes lesser. So this is not taking 10 days to finish, but it's finishing in 5 days because you're working 24-hour shift. Okay. Now let's come to resources. Oh, I think
Why this mauve color in between, sir?
Sorry?
You have signed something?
Sorry, what happened?
Sample task 24-hour calendar. Color is different. Why?
Because it's not a critical task. Only the critical tasks, all the maximum duration tasks are getting colored red.
Okay.
I'm just showing it's the same task of a 10-day activity which I'm trying to do in different days, different types of calendars. Okay. So you see, we are using 10 days as the base time required to finish an activity, but I'm applying 24-hour calendar to this activity.
Okay.
Okay. Whereas to this activity, I'm applying night shifts also. You see,
so the floating time is quite high, so it will be in a different color.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
automatically it will come, right?
Yeah. So the duration will change according to that. Whatever type of calendar you are assigning to the task, it will get adjusted automatically. Actually, the right way of doing is not assigning the calendar to the task, but to the resource. Okay. So that's the mistake I did. I'll just show it in resources. When you come to resources and you create new resources. So let's say we are creating 4 different people now. Okay. Who wants to go next from your class?
You can, yeah.
Okay. So I am just adding randomly 4 names. Who else? Amrita. Yeah, so I have 4 resources now. So let me just explain this with the resources first. Now I have different types of activities happening here. Sorry guys, till what time is the class?
11 we have a class for legal things.
Okay. So
I'm not
by
very
what time
sure,
should
but
I be ending? Just let me know what time I should be ending. Because resources is a little long topic. You will need some time to look at this. Do you guys want to stop it today and probably practice whatever has been done so far?
Yes, sir.
So is it because it has to be assigned to the resources that the calendars that you custom made did not show up in the drop down when you were trying to assign?
Sorry, I didn't get your question. Sorry, Glenn.
So earlier with the sample tasks, like you put in the 24-hour and all that, you were changing the calendars for each task, right?
Yeah.
So I noticed that the task information advanced tab, when we were trying to drop down, it didn't have the ones that you created.
Yeah, because
so
I had to create it as a separate new calendar. I did a mistake. I put it under schedule calendar itself.
Okay.
So when I actually both the methods are right. There's no right or wrong, but the second type is where you will assign that calendar to the resources here, and that is where it makes more sense, because you know there are people who will work in different shifts, who will work in different batches. So I can have a generic resource. See, I can also put a resource which says 100 labor here. Okay, so I'm just putting all the 100 laborers as one entity here.
Okay.
Okay, so
So it for all the laborers that particular calendar.
Yeah, so I can put all these laborers on one calendar type, right? So they'll be working 6 days a week, they'll be working 10 hours a week. But when it comes to the designer or the site supervisor, they might be working 8 hours a week and 5 days a week. Sorry, 8 hours a day and 5 hours a week.
Yeah.
Right, so all of them.
So, but my question was either ways, like you said, both the ways can be done. So my question was why the couple of options that you created on the calendar did not show up in the drop down.
So
in the task.
So the default calendar which I created there will affect the resource here. So if I select say for instance the 100 labor here, see the base calendar here. This person has those different calendars.
Okay.
So this is what I was saying. I created it under the base calendar itself.
Okay.
I didn't create
So we have to ideally go through calendar differences can be reflected through resources only.
Yeah, that is a safer way of doing it because you are not making the schedule
dependent on the activity, but
you are making it dependent on the people working on the activity.
People working on it. Got it. Yeah.
So it should happen in the resources. Ideally, it should happen here. So it is showing correct right now. I was showing for demonstration purpose here that when you are implementing the different calendars, you people were asking in the beginning, can I give the number of hours for an activity?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so that question gets answered here. If you see, even though it says 10 days here, the activity is not running for 10 days.
Yes, sir.
It is running
that's
for equivalent of 10 days man hours.
10 days and number of hours. Yeah.
Okay. So the same thing happens for everything else, but ideally it should be applied here. You assign resources for each task. So we will look at this, how you apply rates, what is the maximum usage that you can have of them in the project. See, this is an enterprise level software. Okay, so it can be used, the same resource can be working on multiple projects. Right, like say I am the project manager or Anil sir is the project manager. He will not be giving 100% of his time for this project.
Got it. Okay.
Right, so I can reduce that as well, and I can write the hourly rates of the people involved in the projects. If they are eligible for overtime, what is the overtime rate? So all this, let's say, okay, let's just assign. Let me just assign 100 rupees for me, 100 rupees for him, and who was the other one that we had? The labor, right? Okay, so let's consider that this person is getting paid 25. I'm just writing vaguely. Obviously the hourly rates will be different for all of us. So let me come back to the Gantt chart here now, and let me say that for this task I am assigning, okay, let me add, okay, sorry, let me just come back to resources. Actually, you know what, there's a lot of things that we have to learn in resources. We'll keep it for next class, because I have to show you how you can make a person or a work type or a material type. So material can also be a resource. You also have cash resource, and you also have machinery. Right, so machinery will be calculated differently here. So let me just show for this itself on the chart. I'm going to take this 24-hour calendar, and I will assign resources to this now. Okay, so I will take, let's say I will assign the 100 labors as the resource for 24-hour calendar, and say okay. You see that resource is now getting assigned to that task. Okay, and notice that it's again become full-fledged even though I applied the 24-hour calendar. That's because the resources here, the 100-day labor resource here, is working on standard calendar.
Okay.
Right, so now I need to change that calendar to 24-hour work shift. And that's when I will be able to see that change here. So what I apply here will get overridden by the resources that I get anyways. Okay. So now let me take 10-hour work week, and I'll assign person to this, and I will assign Anita to this, close, and I will take this regular calendar. I will assign myself to this task. Okay, I'll close this. And now for the master builder, let me put okay, so I have applied him somewhere else before. It's telling me that he is overused. So let me just see the resource graph there.
Don't give me so much of work, sir.
Okay, but resources is something that we will have to spend some time on, because it helps you do a lot of things, by the way. Here you can see, even under resources, you can put people under different, say for instance, the 100 labor is now a team which is working under Amruta. Okay, and let's say these two are working under the project manager, something like that. Okay, so I can do that categorization also. So this will tell me of how resource breakdown is happening. You see the cost and billing for these two. See, for now he has been assigned some work in the project and he's costing this much based on the per hour worked, and it's going to roll into me, including my cost. Now the 100 labor is going to cost 250 to 2500, and it's going to roll into Amruta's total cost. So you can create cost centers also using this system, using resource breakdown structure. The same will affect your WBS as well. You see now the cost is getting added to. Notice that? Yeah. So the more the more details you start putting in, it becomes that much more detailed and comprehensive in its reporting. You see this, it says the night shift is assigned, whereas Anil works in a regular calendar. So he's getting overworked. That is what it's telling me here. So I can readily look at that, and I can change resource allocation also. It tells me when a person who's assigned a particular hours or number of hours in the project is getting overstretched or underutilized. I can see that report as well.
Okay.
So I think we've looked at a lot for today.
Yeah.
So the same thing which I was showing there under file. Under file, you can see the different projects which are running under the same header right now. You can also look at that at the top as a drop down here, sample bathroom fitting. If I click on it, I'll come to that project, and if I am coming to demo calendars, I can see this one. Yeah. So this is a very powerful software, and whoever here is using or running their own offices, I can happily recommend this, because I have used this for a project which was 630 crores when I finally delivered it, right? And I could deliver it using this freeware and open source. So yeah, it can work on pretty complex projects. You can do it, and it does all that you can get on Primavera. It's not just MSP. You can even do what you can do at Primavera level. So enterprise level planning can be done using this software, and it's open source and free. Yeah. Okay, so you can start with this first task. Put in your tasks, subtasks, create the connections between the tasks, and keep it ready for next class so that we can look at baselines, resource budget allocation, and resource leveling. That's a more complex topic to look at.
Yes.
How you can rearrange your project based on your resource learning.
Right.
I hope it was useful.
Yes.
Yes, very much.
Yes.
Very much.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so see you guys in the next class. If you can finish
Thank
this
you.
and share it in the Google Classroom, I think quite a few of you people have not submitted the first assignment on Classroom. I don't think one person is
So this
missing.
one in
We have
Excel
done
sheet,
it.
in
Yeah,
this
the
software.
one which you guys did on Excel sheet is I have some of them have submitted it. I think
No, this is
9.
we have to submit in case we do it like we have to submit in Excel sheet or in this file itself.
No, the first assignment was submitting of the Excel sheet with the.
No, this one.
This one
Sir,
you
what
can
you're
start
telling.
on Project Libre. You can start on Project Libre. You can put in your tasks, subtasks, duration, and linking, and share it on Google Classroom. I will just create an assignment sheet so you can share it in that.
So shall I, whatever the first assignment of breaking down the activity, sir, we'll submit it?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll submit it, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Sir, by when do we have to submit?
Whenever you can. I
Before
don't know when they need the internal marking, but I realized that the lockdown is not ending so soon. That's the reason why I said, okay, we'll at least do this open source software and be clear with the concepts. So if you are clear with the concepts here, you can use the software anywhere else as well. Coming to the last date, I don't know when the last date is. So the sooner the better. The minute you guys finish it, please share it.
Sure, sir.
Sure.
Okay, I will share the recording of this, whatever has happened. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.